how did you build that character? What were you basing it on and all that?
It was there on the page, but really, like, I read
How is it?
It was
I don't
without like a
understand.
lot of the physicality, but
Yeah.
like it was. It's like, okay, he said it, but Jared, if you had
Sorry,
met-
Katie, there was
Yeah,
a
no.
funny moment just before this, if you want to note it.
Yeah.
While you were in the bathroom. I'm just
She could
kidding.
hear us,
There's
like-
a funny dick queef thing that I think might be worth noting.
and cutting everything else out. Just
that's all we released.
Just a 1 minute episode.
Ads, 1 minute of dick queef, more ads, then it comes back to us and we're just laughing about dick queefs.
Dweef.
A dweef.
No, I just made that up.
I knew you did.
Dweef.
And I yes-anded it very fast.
I'm a dweeb, not a dweef.
So it was sort of on the page.
Yeah. So it was on the page, but if you knew, I don't know if you've met Jared, but he is like a master. Like all the characters he'll do himself, and he's this really animated guy. And he's just like, the second he did the voice, he's just like, well, I picture him as this guy who's just like, listen up, flippin' idiot. I don't want to do it. And everything was a little bit more lippy and a little bit more exaggerated, but it's still, I was like, yes. That's me and my younger brothers.
Yeah.
Like whenever they're pissed, whenever they're annoyed, that's them.
That's it.
So I was just like, that's it. That's a boom. Everything this guy is just this constantly crapped on younger brother type who's just like,
Yeah.
just,
He's that through chapped lips.
yes. Mouth breathing.
Yeah.
Kind of crusty kid who thinks
Closing eyes because
dragons
the reality is too much.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And well, the eye was kind of a weird mix of just me and I squint a lot. And also it's just like, we're shooting in the sun and everything's, and it's like you blocking out the world. He's just like,
It's too much. It's just
sorry, I'm doing it now, but it's just like, it was natural for me, but it like made sense for the character. It was
Yeah.
so easy.
Yeah.
And
You leaned
so
in-
we just,
Yes.
yeah. And Jared and I will say we went to the DI. I don't know if you like, but in Provo, like the Deseret Industries, that's their Goodwill. You know, it's just where you can go get secondhand clothing, everything. So we went to the local DI and we just started going through clothes. And we just started like, oh, he'd wear this kind of shirt. This has got a sweet ninja or a sweet dragon on it, or these acid wash jeans. And then simply it was like, he mentioned the moon boots. I was like, sweet. I remember having those. And then his wife was like, and this is the best part. This is like a day or so later after I said, yes, I'm going to do this short, which was a 2-day shoot in Preston. It was like no big deal.
Yeah.
But before that, she's like, called me up and because they worked together and did everything. So Jerusha, his wife, she was like, John, what do you think about a perm? I was like, and I was single and I was like, okay, I'm post mission. I want to like start dating. I'm not good at dating. I don't know how to, but I like girls and I want to get with them. And I don't think a perm's going to help me. But all this thought process, it's going to be harder. Everything I just told you was a millisecond where I thought that. And then within the same millisecond, I was like, dude, who am I kidding? You're never going to see another student here who's not even officially an actor. I'm not a paid or a professional actor, but you're not going to see another student make that kind of commitment for a student film. And I saw what level Jared was on, and he's going to give it his all. I was like, we are going to kill it. Like, of course, yes. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's get a perm. So I got my friend who was a hairstylist, and she gave me the best perm
Of your life.
that I have ever had, but it was tight. It was amazing. I still tell people the perm in the short is years better than the one in the film.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it's so good. Because by the time we shot the film, we had someone else do it. And they did it wrong, so we had to re-perm, which fried my hair. It was just a mess.
So what happened between the short and it becoming a feature? I mean,
So
where
we did
where
the
does
short,
that go?
and it was awesome. And we got it in like Slam Dance, which is like Sundance adjacent in the same place, but it's the smaller version.
Yeah.
And that was like, that might have gotten into a few other film festivals, but the point is like,
This
we
was the
loved
short
it.
got into
This is a short.
Yeah.
And we loved it. And to me, it was perfection. And people were digging it, like the local kind of indie, the film scene at BYU, like people got it. They loved it. But, I didn't know how far that was going to go. And it was like maybe, I don't know, maybe a few months later that Jared calls me up. He's like, dude, what do you think about doing a feature next? It was like the following summer. So we shot this in like fall of 2001. And then 2003 is when we shot the summer of 2003. So it was like, you had about a year and a half. Like, I want to shoot a feature of this. What do you think? I was like, yeah, of course I'm game. Like, why would I say no to that?
Yeah.
And originally, what a lot of people don't know is like, he wanted it to be just the same kind of vibe, but different characters. He knew he wanted to call it Napoleon Dynamite because the black and white, the short one, my name is Seth. And he just knew he wanted his first feature
I don't
to be
see
called,
Seth Dynamite making 44 million in the theaters or whatever it is.
Yeah. And
That's a big mistake.
Seth Dynamite.
Seth isn't working.
No, Seth Svedin was his name.
Okay, I like it again.
I like that. It was rad. And I was like, I think Svedin made it into the film, I think.
Okay.
But he originally talked to me, he was like, what if we like shaved your head and gave you braces? And he was thinking of another crusty kid from Preston, Idaho, but wasn't the same. But then we did and then that's right. He had talked to me before the short really came out. Then after the short, and he saw how well it worked. And it was kind of a test. A lot of directors will do that. He's like, no, we're keeping that character.
Yeah.
It works so well.
Don't fuck with Seth.
Yes. And then we call him Napoleon Dynamite, new name, and then we're just going to bring in.
Where'd that come from?
So he, on his mission.
Get out.
Yeah. He was on the streets in Chicago, came across this guy. They start talking about like, hey, I'm Elder Hess. He's like, oh, Elder Hess. So he starts talking about like, well, it's a title. We go by this. And he's explaining the name. So what's your name? And he goes like, that's interesting. You're talking about like interesting names. Well, mine is Napoleon Dynamite.
Shut up.
And he was this like
You
weird.
shut the fuck up when you're talking to me.
He was this weird Italian guy. But get this. I don't know if this was it's even crazier. We found out later that Napoleon Dynamite is like a pen name that Elvis Costello used on one of his albums.
What?
Back in like, I think it was like the 70s or 80s. So I think this guy was a big fan of Elvis
Costello, yeah.
or knew someone who was a big fan. It could have been,
Yes.
hand-me-down through generations. This name, Jared had no idea of that connection.
Wow.
He just like, that is the sweetest name I've ever heard. I'm writing it down because he knew he was going to be a filmmaker. He was like, I'm going to make my first film called Napoleon Dynamite.
You made it weird. You made it weird. You made it weird.